There's been a couple more games I've played through in my backlog since my videos about Little Nemo and the Guardian Legend. Next on my sights was a game that I'd wanted to play through for a long time now, the last Konami TMNT game for the Game Boy, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Radical Rescue. Released in 1993, this was a pretty late title in the original TMNT's popularity, with Turtlemania dying down quite a lot since 1989. That being said, I was still a big Ninja Turtle fan. I never really stopped. But I remember seeing this game on store shelves when it was new in Electronics Boutique back in the day, and while I debated about getting it, I just didn't want to part with my hard-earned allowance, which is crazy looking back considering this probably retailed new for $30 at the time. Game Boy games were pretty inexpensive. So for a long time, this was the one that got away from me. I don't even think I really fired this one up on an emulator, it was just out of sight, out of mind for a while. But I eventually found a used copy 10 years ago or so and gave it a try for the first time. And let me tell you, this game does not pull any punches. You have one life, and I think 2 continues. But it does have a password system, which is something. I remember making it to the first boss, and I'm not sure if I ever beat him or not. If I did, I still didn't go any further. It didn't help that the map, while it's nice that it's included in its entirety from the get-go, only has one generic icon to tell you something is in that location. It might be a boss, or a turtle to rescue, or a keycard to open, or a locked door. You won't know until you find your way over there. So I put it down thinking I'd come back to it sooner or later, and never did. That is, not until the wonderful Cowabunga collection arrived on Switch last year. For those that don't know, this collection contains 13 classic TMNT games with a ton of great features like concept drawings and level designs, mini strategy guides designed to look like 80s Nintendo Power style layouts, and so much more. It's honestly one of the best retro collections I've ever picked up, and I only hope more companies that work on retro compilations take note, because the bar has now been set so high. So I played through TMNT 1 on NES, and I messed around with all the other games included, before deciding to get serious and focus on putting an effort into TMNT 3 once again. Radical Rescue sets itself apart by being one of the few Metroidvania style of TMNT games. I feel like after the brawl style of the first TMNT arcade game, that kind of set the template for how a Ninja Turtles game was going to work from there on out. But this game decided to start you off with just Mikey, and using his nunchucks he can glide for short periods of time. As you play through the game, you'll rescue his 3 brothers, each with their own unique abilities. Leonardo can drill through floors by spinning his swords below him. Raphael can slide under narrow spaces. And Donatello can climb up walls. The map is pretty sprawling, and it all takes place inside a secret Foot Clan base, but there are a few different areas, each with their own unique graphics and background music, so it doesn't get monotonous. There's a nice variety of foot soldiers, robots, and other hazards as well, and each provide unique challenges to avoid and attack. The Cowabunga collection offers a few optional extra features that can be toggled on and off, and for Radical Rescue they've added some useful map features. Or rather, they've re-implemented them, because as it turns out, the Japanese version of the game's in-game map gives you unique icons for keycards, bosses, and locked doors containing your captured friends. But for the American release of the game, they changed all the icons to a simple black square. You're able to go in and toggle the more helpful icons, or keep them as squares. I chose the more helpful icons. There's also a mini strategy guide for the game that you can access from the Cowabunga collection menu. It's only 4 pages, but it's pretty well packed with useful information. Like I said, they went for a Nintendo Power look to the guide layout, and I think it really works. It looks great. Each section of the guide has its own personality. The first 2-page spread is helpful tips for bosses and item pickups, while the second 2 pages is a complete map, which is super helpful. I'm pretty sure Nintendo Power also printed a map of the game back in the day, but having something I can bring up like this whenever I want was great and really gave me the help I needed to ensure I completed the game this time. Besides a few enemy placement areas where I had a hard time not taking a hit, or having to do a blind jump below me, the level design felt fair and fun with a variety of terrain and challenges. And the Cowabunga collection comes with a rewind feature, so it makes those blind jumps a bit more manageable. I felt like it would have been nice if the special abilities of all 4 turtles came in more handy, or you could use, say, Donatello's wall crawling to find more interesting shortcuts and secrets. As it is, I stuck with Mikey as my default just because his gliding jump was so handy throughout most of the game. There's a nice change to the idea of pizza pickups too, where now you can have a full pizza in reserve, so if you run out of health it instantly gives you more, which was great when exploring, but a definite godsend in boss battles. Speaking of boss battles, there's not much here, but what is here is good and plenty challenging. There's only, I believe, 5 bosses in the entire game, including the end boss, Cyber Shredder. We've got a few new faces, and we missed plenty of old ones. There's no Bebop or Rocksteady, there's no Krang or Baxter Stockman. But all the bosses are varied and fun, with lots of various attacks. Eventually you'll be able to avoid their patterns, but at first I found them really tough and hard to read. If I would have one complaint about the bosses, and it's my biggest complaint of the whole game, is there's a boss rush at the end, where you have to fight every single boss before going into a final battle with Shredder, who has 2 forms himself. It's exhausting and made me thankful for the save feature the collection added in. Overall, this is a game that I'm really glad I finally played through. It's a TMNT game that every Turtle fan should give a try. It's a lot of fun, though I probably won't be popping this one in when I'm in the mood for a quick TMNT fix, as this game demands you pay attention to where you're going and what you're doing if you want to live and not be completely lost. But this is a unique game in a series that has been mostly defined by brawlers, though of course very good brawlers. The Turtles have a lot of cool skill sets, and it's fun to see them used in various different ways in this game. Where does Radical Rescue stand in your list of top Turtles games? Is this one a hidden gem that you found recently, or is this a game that you picked up back in the day when it was first on store shelves? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.